Hello guys and welcome to comprehensive tutorials on C++. In this video we will be looking at data structures and what they are. So before we get started, let's just get a brief introduction to what a data structure is and how it can be useful, and we go ahead and illustrate it with an example so we can understand better. So a data structure is a collection of objects that can be of different types under a name, right? So if we want to declare we want to use a particular object, and let's say that the object is going to be a participant in an activity, and that participant has a name, age, let's say location, and all other details we might be needing. It can be a student, and we might need their name we might need their name, even the name of school, or their city, or even age, or whatever information that we will be needing, right? So we can group this these under a structure. So all of this can come under a structure named. We can name whatever structure we want, and then we get inside and put in these details so that when we create an object called participant, then that object would have characteristics like name, age, location. Or when we create an object like, let's say, a student, then the student would have a name of school would be included, and a city, right? So that's basically what structures are. They help in making organizations very, very efficient in programming language. So let's just go ahead and illustrate it with an example. I think you guys would understand better, right? So go ahead and then create a structure, and we have to use the keyword struct. We can see that it's been boldened to show that it's a keyword. So to declare a structure, you have to use the struct keyword, and then with an identifier, right? So the identifier is just the name of the structure, the name that you want to give to your structure. And want to call this, let's call it participant, and then with two curly brackets, and then code blocks adds in the semicolon automatically. So this is where we would be putting the details or the characteristics of a participant, right? So I'll go ahead and then index it. I like working in this format, right? So what characteristics would our participant have when we want to use this structure? What characteristics we want such an object to have? So we want the object to have a name, and this name that the person would be entering is going to be of data type a string. So that's why we can have strings here, and we will need age, and the age is going to be an integer. So we can have strings, we can have integers, we can have floats, we can have all of the data types that we have talked about under a single structure, right? So we go ahead and input the age here, and then let's say city, where the person comes from. So this equally going to be a string, and we want to call it a city, right? So we have created a structure called participant, right? It's good practice to do this just like a function outside of the main function, right? So I would encourage you to do this outside of your int main function, or if your environment is set up like this, you do it outside of the main function so that it kind of helps in the organization. It's better that way. It's good practice, right? So we have created our structure called participant. Now let's go ahead and create an object, and we can have the syntax is very easy. I want to compare it to how we declare a variable. To declare a variable, we can use the int and give a name to the variable. Let's say number, num1, num1, and this is how to declare a variable. Now to declare an object under a structure, we have to use the identifier of the structure. So in this case, the name of the structure is what? Participant. So we have to put in participant here. It's like the type of the type of structure that we have. So over here the data type is int, and over here literally let's say the type of structure is participant. So when you want to create an object under it, you have to use the name of the structure, so participant, and we want to call this object person A. So you can compare this with the variable declaration and you can see some similarity. Over here is the identifier and semicolon. Over here as well is the identifier of the object and semicolon. And here is the data type of whatever thing the variable will be having. So we can equate this to 3. So we've assigned 3 to the variable number. And over here we are going to assign certain characteristics to this person. And those characteristics are under the structure participant, right? So that's why we use this over here. So I'll go ahead and clear this one and then we move ahead. So then we have created an object called participant. We have not yet assigned any characteristic to it. So what we can do is to assign characteristics to our object, we have to refer to it by its name, person A, then use the dot operator with the name of the member of the structure. So over here the structure participant has 3 members. Member 1 is name, member 2 is age, member 3 is city. And when we call this object, we want to give the object a name, we want to give the object an age, we want to give the object a city, or we can have several information here that we want to assign to the object when we create it, right? So we want to give this person A object that we have just created a name. We use the dot operator to assign those characteristics. So we have person A dot name, and we want to put in meta. Then we have the age, so we'll go ahead and assign the age as well. So person A dot age, right? And we are assigning, let's say, 20. And then person A dot city, where the person comes from. Let's give it Ankara. Right, so now our object part person A, which is from the structure participant, has characteristics name, and the name of the person A is Mete. And then his age is 20 and the city is Ankara, right? So then we have created an object and assigned characteristics to it. So then what can we do with this? We can go ahead and then print these out to see what we have. So we can say your name is, and then we output person A dot name over here. Let's say your name is this, full stop. You are person A's age over here. You are this, let's say, comma, and you come from person A dot city. So that is how to assess these qualities or the characteristics that we have assigned to person A, right? So I'll go ahead and issue a new line over here, and we have used in this video as well the constants T for tab and NL for new line. So the normal or the traditional way of declaring a new line in C++ is the endl. But we have created a constant to store that as NL, so we would not be using endl, we'll just be using NL because it's easier to type, right? So that's the only thing I think. Yeah, so we just go ahead and run this to see what the output is going to be. Right, so we have your name is Mete, you are 20 and you come from Ankara, full stop. We should have put a full stop in there, right? So this is working perfectly, and we just created one object. Now I would want to, it's a good thing to always compare it with things that you already are familiar with, because it kind of helps to understand what's really happening. So let's say that I want to declare variables which have the same data type. So I can have variable int a, b, c, d as such. So in this case, it's very valid. Now, what the meaning here is that all of these variables have the same data type, so I can just use the comma to separate them, and they would have the same data type. Likewise, we can also have here person b, you can come down and declare it participant person B. You can do it this way, but we can equally put this information over here as well, like declare it just like a variable, like as such. So using the comma operator, so person B, this is valid and this is valid as well. Right, so we have declared a second object, but we have not yet assigned any characteristics to person B. So we can come down here and then assign characteristics as well to person B. So whoops, to person B. Right, so person B dot name is, let's say, Engin. So this is the name of the person, and we can go ahead and put the age of the person, any number. Right, let's say 24, and then we have person dot city, and we have Merson. So we have a second object. Now we can come down here as well, and then let me just copy all this and then paste over here, and we can have your name is person B, you are person B, you are from, right, person B. Good. So let's run this, and whoops, we should have a B over here as well, right? So B, run this, and we have your name is Mete, you are 20 and you come from Ankara. Your name is Engin, you are 24 and you come from Mersin, right? So this is how to declare objects under a structure. We'll look at more of these structures when we start to talk about classes, right? So this is how to do that, and I want to show you guys another way of declaring objects and then using them. So in this format, immediately after declaring the structure, you can declare all the objects that you want to create, you will be creating. So let's say that we want to create person C and person D and person E over here as well. And mind you, let me cut this. I'm cutting it. This was the original text that was there. Now the only difference is that we are declaring our objects immediately after we declared our class. After we declared our structure, sorry. So after we declared our structure, we are declaring our objects. And there should only be one semicolon. So I'll go ahead and clear this semicolon, and the semicolon would come last. So in this format, we have used the second way of declaring our objects. Let's come down into the code and then try to, so we'll change person B to I think, right, we have person C over here. So person C, and person C dot age is now that, and person B dot, so we've changed person B to person C. So then we'll be accessing this object that we've created here. Okay, to make things very clear, let me just undo this, and then we would have person C dot name, and we want to put in the January. Then we have person C dot age, and we want to have in there, let's say 25, and then person C dot is it city, right, and want to put in the Adana. Right, so we have declared a third object. Let me put this and paste it down here. And we want to have person C and person C, person C. Right, so we run this, and we should be having three sentences. So the last one is you are Janar and you are 25. You are from Adana. Good. So the second way was that we declared person C immediately after we declared our structure. Right, so we have person D, person E as well, but we have declared those objects, but we have not yet assigned any characteristics to them, so they are just there. We can use them later on if we want to. Right, so that was the second way to declare objects under a structure. Now I would want us to, I think the next thing is use first versus use second way directly after. So declare an array object, right? So go ahead and see how we can declare an array objects and then assign characteristics to those objects.